Welcome everyone. We've got another episode of FHTV, and today I've got joining me is Kate Moran from Waratah Healing. Thanks for joining us, Kate.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Cool. The reason that I've brought Kate on with us today as one of our inspiring stories is Kate's had a journey from the corporate world into starting her own business in a shiatsu therapy practice. And so I was really keen to talk to Kate and find out about that journey and some of what the tipping point was for her that made her follow her passion, what some of those learnings have been along the way, and perhaps how she might be able to share some tips with us for people that are thinking about moving into following something that's dear to their heart or bring their dreams to life. So perhaps, Kate, a good start is if you could give us a bit of a quick snippet in terms of your career, your journey, then we can get to the point of where you then moved into shiatsu, and we can have a bit of a chat from there.
Okay, so I guess I finished high school and started working. I wasn't keen on going to university, so I thought that's enough study. So I started working in corporate, financial planning, I suppose, doing my main roles were as a personal assistant and also in administration. And I did this for a number of years, and I guess in between that time did a couple of massage courses, continued to read books about Chinese medicine, and I was interested in acupuncture and that sort of thing. So I had those sorts of things as my hobby, I guess, and a personal interest, but mainly worked in corporate. And a couple of times when I was, saving to go on trips, I worked weekends in hospitality because, I was dead set on travelling and really love just, being able to take that time, a few weeks at a time to go travelling. So that was also my other sort of personal interest. And, I guess in not only had been in, I guess what you call corporate financial planning for a number of years, a long time, so that started to become something that wasn't as interesting to me as my personal interest, I guess. So, just my personal interest and hobby just kept gnawing at me.
Yeah. And so, given that you were spending more time doing some massage and that, I guess, that ability to have some freedom in terms of diary and where you're spending your time, do you remember the point where you decided, you know what, I'm going to leave corporate world and go and start my own business? Do you remember that point?
I can remember for a number of years, probably more than what I care to think about, being in corporate, being at work, thinking I really want to be running my own business, and also having this personal interest on the side. And I think, without sounding too woo-woo, the universe provided me with, I guess, some pretty untenable situations in the corporate world, working in places that just didn't align with my values, I guess. And so I almost feel as if I was sort of pushed, and I guess, but ultimately it was my decision to leave. And I guess the more I studied, the more my interest in shiatsu and natural therapies and things like Taoism and Buddhism, the more I studied those, the less aligned with my work and the actual day-to-day things I was actually doing. So it got to a point where I just simply had to leave. I couldn't do it any longer.
And there's two things I'm kind of picking up from that as well is, a lot of the people that I speak to that decide to move into working for themselves or working in their own businesses, it is that values alignment that is no longer there for them. And I guess they've gone on a journey and had a lot more clarity about where they want to spend their time and their energy in life, because, time is such a precious thing that we can't get back. So, I think that's a really key thing. And quite often and this is a very generalist statement, but quite often I think people stay in roles that they're not enjoying because they're just not sure about what their values are. So it's easier to stay there in the comfort zone with some discomfort, rather than perhaps taking risks and going out and exploring, what's true to their heart, or what aligns with them. So yeah. So did you do a transitional approach to starting your business, or was it a bit like me where I just called the date and that was it and off we go?
Well, whilst I was studying shiatsu, so once all these, I made the decision to actually do the course. Okay, it's shiatsu that I want to do, shiatsu mental therapies. So while I was studying, I was working full time. So this I wouldn't recommend. It was full on, I guess. But I guess like we've just spoken about, that sort of juxtaposition of studying these amazing therapies and theory, ancient theories and ancient medicine, alongside the work, it became clearer and clearer to me that I was going to leave. But then there's the financial pressures. We've all got to pay bills, we've got to pay rent or pay the mortgage, or we have pressures and we need money to live. So it's a difficult thing at the time, because you can't see how you're going to just leap out of this secure job, I guess, and all that thinking that you've had around having a secure job. You've always been sort of told that sort of thing, into something where it's actually quite unknown. So I continued to work through my studies, and then I continued working even when I then started to be a qualified shiatsu therapist. But what I did was I did actually transition. So the workplace that I'd worked in, that I needed to get out of, that sort of happened. So that was a great step. However, I was still working in corporate part-time, and did my shiatsu part-time. And then from there, I just kept building up the business. And then I was able to actually finish in corporate altogether and be full-time shiatsu.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And I think for me, reflection in hindsight, I think if there's an ability to transition smartly and safely, it's certainly a much better way to go. As you say, there are responsibilities and financial, things, whether we have houses and cars or not. We still need to feed ourselves and perhaps pay for our studies. And one thing I'd be interested to find out from you is, how did you? Because even hearing that for some people, I've got to keep working a 40-hour week plus study or build my business. How the heck do I do that? What would be perhaps one or two tips or strategies that you put into place to maintain the energy and the focus and the drive? Because, for most people, going to work and working 40-hour week in a job that they don't love, that's already hard enough. So what were your kind of, one or 2 points that were the key drivers that kept you going?
Yeah, so I think that your lifestyle changes dramatically. So when you're in corporate finance, you have a lot of disposable income, and it seems like, just paying for things, like going out for dinner, and not only meeting your normal financial costs, but all these extra things are quite easily afforded, like the holidays overseas and that sort of thing. Whilst you might need to save for them, you've still got a much bigger buffer zone. But ironically, moving into something like from corporate into shiatsu therapy, the lifestyle for me is something that I think I probably always wanted to move towards, is a lot simpler lifestyle. I'm less interested in the things that I probably was interested in, and things change. You're a lot less material minded, I guess, if that's a word. So I feel like I've really pared back my lifestyle, but I've also gone towards a more minimalist lifestyle. And I find that doing shiatsu therapy, which is the thing that I love, is just so fulfilling in itself that I couldn't imagine not doing it. So I guess I just have had that passion to do it, which you know, and some weeks when you've had, you know, very few clients come through the clinic and you might feel a little bit disheartened or that sort of thing. It's almost, it's really bizarre how, you know, you can check the next thing you've had a client booked in for next week and then another client, and, you know, things just tend to, it is a little bit of a roller coaster, but for me, I've found that they do always turn up again, you know, things always work out, I guess. And I think that if you, yeah, for me, I want to do, so I, you know, I keep doing it, keep showing that passion to each client, and somehow people just keep rebooking. You know, yeah, you do have slow weeks in the clinic, and then other times it's really full, and then sometimes it's full and you're quite exhausted, and then, you know, you go back to having a few less clients, I guess. There's all the background work to that as well. But yeah, for me, if we're talking about the driver, it's just the passion I have for the therapy that I do, and, you know, the people that I meet, it feeds me every day. You know, I meet some absolutely wonderful and fascinating people that come into the clinic for treatment, and so, you know, I really couldn't imagine doing anything else. Yeah.
And I love that you say about, you know, how that sometimes it might appear that, you know, there's not many clients coming in because it's just a slower week or whatever, you know, and as you pointed out earlier, is really the universe does show up. If you know, I found if you continue to keep showing up, then the universe will provide. And whether you believe in, like you say, the woo-woo stuff or not, but, you know, that in any of the challenges that I think about in my business journey, it's the better results I've had, even though there were tougher times, was when I just continue to show up every day. Just, you know, it's almost like getting a message to the universe that I'm deadly serious about this. So if you think that little hurdle you just sent me is really going to throw me off track, well, you know, I'm going to show you another thing. So, yeah. And I'm really keen to find out, because, you know, as you say, business is not all, it's not always happy days and, you know, money flowing all the time. And not that is, you know, that's not the pure driver of people getting into business, but, you know, we do go into business to make money from our own value that we bring. You know, it's kind of the mindset that a lot of people are taught, that you get a job and that's it, and someone else determines your worth, and, you know, whether you show up and give 110% and the person at the desk next to you shows up and gives, you know, 50%, you still get paid the same. Whereas in business, it tends to be a lot more rewarding in terms of the effort you put in, you will be rewarded for. But I wonder if there's been a time in business where it has been, you know, a challenge, and what, you know, how did you go about overcoming that challenge?
Yes, definitely. When the clinic when I first started, and you know, you might only have one client booked in for the day, so I really tried to utilize the time outside of that treatment time. So obviously when the client comes in, you do everything you can to the treatment 100%, you know, make sure they're looked after. And then if, you know, that client might have come in the morning, so then for me, I guess, using the rest of the time of that day to at least do something that's going to grow the business, you know, whether it's networking, or maybe you haven't got your business cards printed, or, you know, just there's always something that you've needed for the clinic. Yeah, and so make sure that you go and do that one thing that's going to actually help, or give the client that came in, give them a couple of business cards and say to them, look, if you know of anyone that would you know, really like this type of treatment, then feel free to pass my card, I guess. Those sorts of things. And yeah, and also, you know, get inspired, even if you're searching the internet for how other people run their business or something like that, you know, because yeah, you just literally, you don't have control over it. If one person's, you know, you might even have 2 bookings for the day, and one person reschedules and another one cancels, so you can feel quite disheartened, thinking, oh wow, I had 3 yesterday when I looked at, and now I've only got 1. So I guess, you know, you've got to also be realistic and think, well, people have other things on. They've reshuffled and they're coming in next week anyway. So I guess you've just got to see it as a positive and just keep moving forward like you would if you had 8 clients in the clinic that day, you know. So I think just try to take it as realistic as possible and yeah, just keep working on your business.
Yeah. And I heard you say about, you know, giving business cards to current clients and, you know, referral process. Has that been one of the most effective marketing tools for you in your business? Is the referral of current clients to new clients?
It's probably been one effective way. I've found that speaking with other professionals, so occupational therapists or doctors or physiotherapists, where you can refer clients or they can refer clients in a particular scenario where you might specialise more in children or older adults or that sort of thing. And also I had a few referrals from shiatsu therapists who were in, say, different areas. So they might have, even if they were working at a market stall or they're working, or they've got a friend who's, you know, in a particular area, and they know that I'm in Essendon, so yeah, they've referred people as well. So yeah, current clients have referred people. Yeah, it's probably a small percentage have referred others, and I think some people, I don't even know where some people have heard from friends, because they've come in and I found out sort of months later, oh, that's right, they were a friend of someone else's. So yeah. So I'm not 100% sure where everyone comes from, but that is a small percentage, I guess. Yeah.
Fabulous. So, given where you are now, what's the big dream for the business? What would you love to get, you know, bring to life and you know, I guess that kind of 5, 10, 20 year, we could even go 50 because you're not that old. So, you know, what does that big dream look like for you and your business? What would you potentially like to see happen?
Yeah, well, I love the idea of how many clients I will have treated in that time. So that's hopefully a huge number, in that, you know, it really feeds you when you treat different clients, you know, which is just amazing. So yeah, so in 10 years time, I guess I'd still really like to have a full clinic, you know, and be practicing. I'd like to be teaching shiatsu and and just continuing to learn myself, like continuing to, you know, Chinese medicine, diagnosis and oriental therapies is an ocean of information, and it's endless. Like, I don't even imagine knowing everything there is to know about Chinese medicine even. So continuing to learn and service clients and have a full clinic, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. It sounds like there's some really, you know, good kind of foundation stuff being set up now to, you know, allow that to continue to happen and continue to grow. So do you see that you might have a team of people working with you, or perhaps some little side projects happening at all?
Yes, possibly. At the moment, we're running a shiatsu community group where we basically employ a teacher to teach workshops to current shiatsu therapists and students, but they're mainly qualified shiatsu therapists. So we run this community group, and we usually have quite a large number for each session. We usually run them about monthly. We started at the start of last year, so it's been going for 12 months. And something where we've had a look at a location, and we've got somewhere where we think we might be able to, you know, have a home from, which is quite accessible for people, and that's something that you know, is really close to my heart. I really think that shiatsu is something that the more we empower shiatsu therapists, the more people will learn and do this as a profession, then the more people actually know about shiatsu. So, you know, in a lot of other countries, shiatsu is a really well-known therapy, and in Australia we're still sort of we're getting there, but it's, you know, probably if you asked every second person, they may or may not know what shift oriental therapies are, what they service, what they do, what's the benefits, you know. And yeah, in places like Europe, they're working in hospitals with cancer patients and that type of thing. So we're definitely getting there, but it's something that I'd really like to see in my lifetime be, you know, something that's more recognised for people as an alternative, you know, a legitimate alternative therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And as you know, I know the benefits of shiatsu therapy because I am blessed to have you as my therapist. But yeah, some truly amazing stuff that does impact people's lives in so many different ways. You know, I think society now is moving more towards alternative therapies as we find more and more challenges with medications, with, you know, the I guess the lifestyles that most people lead. So as we start to wrap up, I'm wondering if you could share perhaps 3 tips that would help people who are either moving from a job into starting their own business or are perhaps in those early stages of business, and, you know, what are 3 tips to help them keep going and build that dream?
Yeah, there's lots of things. So I think that connecting with people in the industry, so not being too shy to, you know, connect with someone who's been in the industry and has a business that's thriving. You know, you'll know who they are because you'll be able to find them on the internet, or you might already know who they are because they're your teachers from college and that sort of thing. So the first thing I would definitely do is make sure that you somehow contact you know, the leaders in your industry, or, you know, whoever's kind of accessible. And, you know, it's fast tracking yourself to be able to get the advice from people who have been there and done that, and it's in that specific industry. So there's that. There's continuing to, you know, read and educate yourself on actually how to do this. So unfortunately, when you start a business, you don't have money for marketing and employees and all the things that you might have in 10 years' time. So, you know, I think that we need to bite the bullet and learn, because you need to be your own marketing person, you need to be your own admin person, your own personal assistant. So learn how to do those things, you know, even if it's a weakness for you, just learn how to do it. There's a million ways to do it. And the third one is get a mentor, get a coach who will keep you on track and keep you accountable, and you can workshop with, and will have those answers that are really not the unbiased answers to the burning questions that you have. And, you know, you get stuck. It's a hard thing to do, to start your own business in the field that you're passionate about, because you're so emotional about it and you're so passionate about it that sometimes you just don't see things. So getting a mentor means that you can reflect, you know, it's a sounding board. You can reflect things and you get those honest, sort of straight down the line answers that are really, really helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic tips there. Highly support every single one of those. I think that's certainly something I've learned on my journey, is that you need to do the groundwork, you need to do the stuff that might be a bit challenging, that's a bit of a stretch, but the fact that you're able to do that, then you're able to build a team that very clearly understands how you want things done, because at the end of the day, it is your business and it's your passion and your baby. So you need people that are going to be able to do it the way that you want to do it, basically. So yeah, fabulous. So if people want to get in touch with you, whether it be for a shiatsu massage or whether it be to touch base, pick your brain of any kind of, you know, quick questions they have before they start up their own business, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. So on my website, which is www.waratahealing.com.au, there's a contact form, so that's one way to get in touch with me. You can also send me an email at shiatsusession@gmail.com.au, and yeah, feel free to also call or text on my mobile number 0417 226 471.
Excellent. We'll have all of the details down below this video on the website, and we'll also be sharing that on social media, so you'll be able to find Kate in various different places and connect with her that way. But just want to say a huge thank you for joining us, Kate, and sharing your journey, sharing your insights to business, and I guess enlightening us that there is possibility if you don't no longer loving what you do in terms of your job, there is options and possibility, and some little snippets and tips of how we can do that. So thank you so much for joining us here on FHTV. We look forward to seeing what happens next and what's going on in your journey, and perhaps we'll have you back in some time when there's some changes and some growth, and you've got that team of people with you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.